Hi, it's James, and welcome back to the Green Room. This week, I'm joined by Laura from FSP. Laura, now you're in the Green Room. I want to know what's one of the biggest pet peeves in the workplace when it comes to ESG for you?
Firstly, thank you for having me on. It's amazing to be able to return the favour after you joined our podcast and spoke about everything ESG and tech. So thank you. So my biggest pet peeve with ESG in the workplace, and it's probably something I'm very guilty of doing myself in the early days, is if they think that they've done one good thing, which is good. One good thing's better than nothing. But if they've done one good thing, putting their Coke can in the bin, that we then tick all the boxes. We are winning all the awards for sustainability and being environmentally ethical. Yeah, that's probably my biggest pet peeve. Equally, I've got another pet peeve actually as well, which is probably my most recent pet peeve, is where people kind of underestimate ESG as a whole. They just think it's something really low on the priority list, where it is actually being quite heavily embedded now. ESG touches every single point of our organisation, both strategically and operationally day to day. So I would say that's actually probably my biggest pet peeve with ESG in the workplace.
I can understand that, and it's often seen as a silent piece of work as well that goes through. One thing we get a lot is what's the ROI on sustainability, and it's very hard to put that to a number because it gets embedded in different departments over time.
Yeah.
And sometimes the ROI is simply you're still able to achieve the tenders that you were going for 4 years ago, but they're just asking more things now that are more important. So if you didn't do it, the risk of not doing it is often greater than the investment that you're going to pay forward for it doing it in the first place. And I can completely understand that. Now, as you've mentioned, you've been working hard on all things ESG at FSB since I've known you, and since we've been working together. And you've led the charge currently in your capacity as Chief Brand Officer for ESG. Now, when was the moment you realized that your company actually needed a sustainability manager and it was no longer, able to do within your current remit and the team that you'd built around you?
It's a good question. So we've probably been really focused around aspect of ESG and governance. I would say due to the nature of our business, especially our cybersecurity business, governance and compliance is very important aspect for us, that we need to make sure we have all the robust policies and practices in place there. So on those two areas, we're always quite strong and had strong foundations in anyway. The environmental aspect was totally new area for us. We probably thought, we thought we've made decisions that were ethically conscious. And then once we've really got to learn around how we really can understand what is the impact that we're having and how can we actively reduce that, rather than in the beginning, we just started offsetting straight away. That just shows how we had to learn around that area. That was our step one. Let's offset. We've ticked a massive box and we should be putting in awards for all of this. I actually think that I put in a submission for an award in the early days, and they must have looked at our submission. Now looking back, I'm really embarrassed that we even submitted across there because of how much we've learned along the way. So I think in the beginning, we thought, where's the best home for ESG? I've worked for FSP for 18 years, so I joined when I was 17. For me, the FSP brand goes beyond marketing, PR. It's about how everybody at FSP interacts with our values, our purpose, our identity as an organisation, both internally and externally. So when the concept of ESG come across our noses, I actually kind of grabbed it with both hands to be like, that has to sit within brand, because if we really want to do this well and have every touch point with all operations of the business versus us, what we're doing in our strategy with the environmental side of it, our people, and also how we mature and govern ourselves, it just felt like the right home for it there.
Was that an extensive conversation that was had internally around different departments kind of fighting for it, or was it a pretty simple one where you're like, I think this sits within brand, and everyone's like, okay, Laura, you and your team can take this?
I think we naively underestimated it in the beginning around the amount of work involved And brand just felt like the right home. I felt like I had ambition to want to drive it. I had personal feelings about why I wanted to do that. For me, in my role and as a person, it's really important to me that I can do something where I feel that's making good, whether that's with people that work for FSP. I genuinely want them to offer a workplace where that they want to be part of, where they feel they can deliver their best work, they love what they're doing, they work with some great people. And I was really excited about the aspects of the to-do as well and where we could improve. And it just made sense that was the right home. We have a really good, strong connection with other points of the business. So we knew our CFO would have to be heavily involved. We knew our Chief People Officer would have to be involved. Our CTO would have to be involved. So we formed our ESG committee quite early on. So by no means is it all on my shoulders. It's kind of a team effort. I'd say about 18 months ago, where we thought it would be really great if we can invest in an ESG lead to really help drive this to the next level. Not only was this just about satisfying kind of our investors' agenda and our own agenda of wanting to be a workplace that was really leading in our industry in this area, but we've seen prospective employees being really interested in what we're doing across all of our ESG commitments and how we're actually demonstrating what we're saying to be true as well. And also our customers, the tender questions used to be 1 or 2. They're now massive sections, and we can't afford to rest on our laurels with it either. We've got to keep it growing. We've got to make sure we're still strategic to stay competitive, to stay attractive to people, to customers. And it's something that we genuinely really care about as well. And luckily, we've got lots of people around the organisation that do care as well. And I can't wait to bring on this role because it will be instrumental in taking us really to the next level. And rather than sometimes I worry that we're kind of getting by and doing, okay, we're making good incremental changes and progress. But one of my worries is that, are we doing enough? Are we moving fast enough? Are we really thinking deeper about this? How can we improve our quality of data, for instance, to really understand the impact we're making, so we can make better decisions about where do we focus our time? What do we put on the agenda for everyone to work towards, and understand what's important to all our different stakeholders as well. That's been was a really kind of key point in helping us come to the decision that we need someone that's got expertise in this area that can really take us to that next level.
Going back to what you've mentioned already around, you've got investors, you've got a customer base now that's appearing in RFIs. What are the key drivers? So just parking the personal side of it all from the exec committee and yourself, which is fantastic to see, but it's more like, if those roles change, people will come in and they have that same personal ambition to improve in that space. What would you say are the key drivers for you as a business that mean you really have to take ESG seriously?
The key drivers I see as our employees, first and foremost. They want to be part of organisation that we're actually positively impacting our community, positively impacting the environment. We can understand how we can improve, and people want to get involved in that as well. And it's not for everyone also, and that's fine as well, but it's important to us as an organisation and a good kind of qualification point on both sides of someone joining our organisation. So I would say our people are definitely a key driver of that. Our customers, we're seeing more demand for information around what we do around ESG and being able to prove that as well. So that's, of course, a big driver. We've also got, being a technology business, we've got a responsibility to make sure that we are doing AI ethically as well. We are innovating ethically, that we are helping our customers to understand their own digital footprint, and with any big, exciting technology transformational projects that we're working on, that we're doing them in the most sustainable way that we can. So part of that is helping our customers to understand what that looks like, but also ultimately they do save a lot of money when they think with that mindset. So our digital transformation frameworks, the sustainability, ethical and accessibility framework, which we add a layer on across all our projects to ensure that doing things in the best possible way we can.
Even better for finance teams if you're able to save them a bit of money.
Exactly.
But because of all of that as well, have you found ever that certain areas of ESG, for example, the job role that you're hiring for now, have you found it to be a hard business case to put forward to the other leadership members and say that we want this role, or was it kind of you put it forward and they go, right, sign that off straight away?
It definitely wasn't hard. I know for some organisations it might be a bit more difficult to get that sign off. For us, it wasn't, because our entire leadership team is committed to our ESG strategy and what we want to be known for and the things we want to do. So it wasn't hard from that perspective. I think we probably made the decision a bit too late, probably could have done with it earlier. But I think just in seeing kind of how powerful it was on the return of all the hard work that we put into ESG over the years, and seeing that return through whether it be a business that we win or securing talent within the organisation. So there's so many positives to doing it, as well as, you know, being able to showcase the kind of organisation we are and that we want to be known for, and things that we want to be true. Being an ethically responsible business, something we talk about all the time, but people can say these things, but they can't really prove it. So for us, it was really important that we were able to do that.
Do you see the validation of having a professional in the workplace, that is going to be their sole focus? Is that kind of further help for you in terms of evidencing the work you're doing?
Yes, definitely. With this role and bringing it in someone, not only will it help to kind of ease workloads and stuff, but I think it's finding someone was actually really difficult for our business, because I think a lot of people that we interview would be really expertise around the environment, or they might be a real expert across governance. It was really difficult to find someone that had expertise across all three different areas or had interest. It was always kind of one over the other. So we've met some amazing people during the process and learned a lot actually through the conversations that we've had with these people about all these different areas. So it was finding someone that could work alongside the teams we've already got in place, but also just elevate in those areas that, we want to move forward in.
Looking a bit more broadly, so you're speaking to someone else who's in a similar position to yourself. You've been leading the charge when it comes to ESG, and it's sat alongside your other job description, so other aspects of your job. If someone's a lone wolf in ESG, how do they know when it's time to push for a full-time hire? What would you be saying to them?
I think that's a really interesting question. I don't think in an organisation you can afford to have someone that is a lone wolf on ESG, because it's not just down to one person. We wouldn't have been able to make the progress we have over the last few years if we didn't have the support of the leadership team, our board. Number one priority is getting people on board about the why you do it. And there's so many different aspects around the business that it touches. I can't think of one area that the ESG doesn't come into contact with.
Fantastic piece of advice. And I think what the purpose is really important, and it aligns itself to that prioritization element. Like, what should we be doing? Why is it important in the first place? And then what should we focus on next? Those three things, if you can get your head around those, you don't need a team at the very outset. You just need to be able to narrow down your focus, because as you mentioned, if you look at everything on the checklist from the investors or the whole RFI, when you first start looking at this and you go for a public tender and there were all these things, you go, well, we don't do that, we don't do that, we don't do that. It can definitely feel overwhelming, but just taking it small steps at a time, and then it does start to snowball, and next thing you know, you're incredibly high now with your investor scores, and you're already there like, well, let's get even higher.
Yeah.
So it's a great process to see.
Yeah, we went from 60%, I think, initially, which we were told was quite a good score at the time. And then most recently, we got our scores of 81%. So that's our kind of ESG management health check score. So we're super proud of where we've come, but it's took a while for us to get there. But I think now we finally got the confidence to know what we focus on next and where's really going to kind of move FSP's impact forward and where we can really help our customers, where we can really help our employees, and listening into those stuff. You helped us, James, with trying to understand that through doing the materiality assessment. And that was really invaluable, because rather than assuming what our investors want, what our customers want, what our employees want, understanding that has been really key to where we put our focus.
That one is a shock as well for a lot of companies, because it's this outward question of what's important to you, what should we focus on. Companies feel like, we can't really ask that, we should know the answer to these things, but if you don't engage, you're not going to know. You're going to guess, and then if you guess wrong, you're going to waste time and effort doing all of that stuff. And with that as well, you mentioned you've gone from 60% to 81%, which is an incredible jump. For those who aren't aware, getting to the 81% is often like the top few percent of a portfolio sit within that. What's the time frame between those two assessments, just so people can get a gauge on how quickly you were able to go from a really good position to a really strong position?
Yeah, so 2 years to get to that position. And that looks at everything that's going to minimize your risk as an organization, demonstrate where you're actually reducing and making an impact on the environment, showcasing how you are giving back to your communities and giving opportunities to your people as well. So that's took us 2 years to get to that point, and still got loads to do, still going.
Yeah, I think that is a credit to FSP and the approach you take, because we're now really high at this point. And you said before, like, I actually wish we'd hired it earlier. You're now looking to hire to continue progressing. You've mentioned this is a continual journey as well, where a lot of organizations will be like, we've done it, we've got there. So it is a credit to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I want to end on a light note. We do this at the end of our episodes. What's one thing that makes you feel hopeful about the future of corporate sustainability right now?
I think one thing that makes me feel hopeful is I feel it's more people are talking about it. It's not a topic that everyone, well, certainly not in the rooms I'm in anyway, that it's when we're talking about AI that, okay, we are talking about responsible AI. We are talking about how we can ethically be sustainable as organisations moving forward. I think that that's what gives me hope. I think the next generation, just seeing through my girls' eyes and even through our academy actually, and seeing that their just behaviours are, it's just embedded from a much earlier age, and their behaviours are, they behave differently, and how they approach it's just part of life. I'm seeing it through kind of the younger generation, both through my children, and who will also always call me out when I'm not doing things as I should be doing, and also through our academy. So that's really important to the people that we bring on. They'll be questioning us in interviews, what do you do? How would you do that? How can I be part of that? So that's really encouraging to see. And we need more education in schools early on. It gives me hope.
Definitely, John. Thank you so much, Laura, for joining us in the Green Room today. It's been very appreciated, and we believe a lot of the listeners will get a lot of value from that. So thank you.
Thanks for having me.